A little 2-0 action. 14 to go for your Miami Heat as they do what they had to do, protect home court, courtesy of one Jimmy Butler. Jimmy mother bleeping buckets, getting it done yesterday. That was a fun performance to watch in person yesterday, man. Boots on the ground at FTX Arena. The place was popping. I miss Heat basketball in the playoffs so much. Like, yeah, bubble was cool. And, all this, they had just too much talk of this bubble frauds and all that type of stuff. And, yeah, hostile environments, I'm sure, are tough for the road teams. But you know what I miss, honestly? I miss the party. I miss the celebration. I miss the jubilation. Like, the idea that the Heat hadn't gotten to celebrate in that building up until Sunday, that they hadn't been able to celebrate in that building since 2016 is pretty crazy. For as good a franchise as it is, that it's been that long for them since they've gotten to have a home win in that building. And yesterday was just as good. I mean, between getting the star performance from Jimmy Butler, a lot of I don't know what we'll call brouhaha, dust-ups, kerfuffles between Kyle Lowry, DeAndre Hunter, Kyle Lowry, and Trae Young getting into it. And it's just fun. It's been a fun series so far. A lot more competitive. As Eric Spoelstra said yesterday, it was a true game one. They were given it, which is it's a cool thing to say from Eric Spoelstra, but it's also a little demeaning too, because it's a little pat on the ass, like, good for you, Hawks. You got true game one. This first one, we'll throw it out the window, even though we're up 1-0. Here you go, true game one. And that true game one was more competitive. They great performances from Bogdan Bogdanovic. Trae Young was much better, hard to be worse, than he was in game one. He was much better, although he was kicking the ball all over the place, which would turn into being an interesting plot twist. But this one really, it starts and ends with Jimmy Butler and everything that he brought to the table. He put on a show yesterday. He had his three-point shot working. His three-point shot has been money for whatever reason over the last 10 games or so. He's shooting like 45% from three. The arm sleeve Jimmy is a dangerous, dangerous thing right now. He is feeling himself. He has got a great shot going on. And that, I thought, not only was a great cherry on top, but the thing that was really great about him, he just noticed these matchups. He was bullying them. He was taking dudes down to the paint. He was getting and ones. It was a parade to the free throw line for Jimmy Butler. And I think that is honestly what irked the star point guard of the Atlanta Hawks, Trae Young, because I got to be honest, my takes from the game after the game were going to be much different up until I heard Trae Young, because as I had said in the previous video, is that, look, as fun as the Heat blowout was, that's what they're supposed to do. A Heat loss to the Atlanta Hawks in the first round is tremendously embarrassing. I picked them to sweep. I didn't even say this was going to be gentlemanly. I picked the Heat to sweep. I put my onions on the table. I don't do these cutesy-wootsy things. I think what I think, and I don't put a game for measure. I think the Heat should sweep the Atlanta Hawks. I think that they don't do anything to make the Heat uncomfortable, and outside of a crazy shooting night, which I will give you can still happen in the NBA and in the playoffs, I think the Miami Heat should smoke them. They're the better team. And I said after game one, I'm like, great night, awesome to get the win, felt like a party, hadn't been in that building, haven't had a win in a long time, but ultimately not that big a deal. You got to do what you're supposed to do. Then you had the thing I just found laughable about it was all the excuse making everybody was having for the Hawks, which is like, are the Hawks like some title contender? Why is everybody, making every excuse under the sun for them? I don't understand it. And then you had this game, which again, TCB, protect home court, do what you got to do, move on to Atlanta, go take a 2, finish this up, get plenty of rest. And the way that you want to keep pace too, because it looks like the Sixers are rolling in their series right now. So if that's going to be your next matchup, you want to be right in line with them for whatever comes down the pipe. You don't want to be playing and struggling in a dogfight series, and certainly not with an 8 seed. But as much as I didn't think yesterday was going to be too big a deal, because you're just taking care of business and it was an epic performance from Jimmy Butler, that all changed when I heard Trae Young talk. Trae Young coming out there and saying that the referees are letting the Heat be too physical was laugh out loud funny. The idea that the Hawks felt like they were getting shafted with a bunch of non-calls. When you saw this dude, when you watch this guy in person, flopping and flailing all over the place trying to gimmick for calls. And I see this idea where he like probably looks at Jimmy Butler and he goes, Jimmy Butler's a star. He got 12 free throws, and I only got 4. And I'm Trae Young, and I'm one of the faces of the league, and I'm the bad guy. I'm supposed to be the guy who gets all the free throws and gets the star treatment. But the thing about it is, like, dude, you're like basically out, chucking up shots. You're 2 of 10. You can't hit the broadside of a barn from 3 so far this series. And everything is flopping and flailing and trying to trick the referees. And I thought that we were trying to get rid of that in this league. Jimmy Butler's going down to the paint. He's mauling dudes. And they have no choice but to foul him. Otherwise, he's getting an easy 2 points. It's a much different method of going to get your free throws. This isn't the school of James Harden trickeration or deception. And that's the thing that's funny about it is he's like, oh, too physical. It's like, this is playoff basketball, dude. I don't know what you're trying to say. So I just looked at that and I was just like, oh, he's mentally done then. Because if Gabe Vincent got you out of your game that much where you're like, I can't, I'm not getting the calls. I'm a star, baby. I'm a star. It's a Hail Mary move. It reeks of, it's just, if you smell that, reeks of desperation. And I loved Gabe Vincent going out there after the game when he heard of this. 2 things. 1, what he's wearing, and two, the smirk when he hears all that.
He just said a few minutes ago that he's hoping to get more calls, said you guys are being too physical with him. Like, how would you sort of assess the job that you guys have done against him in the first 2 games?
I thought he got a lot of calls tonight. I don't know how many he got, but, we're just playing hard. Playing Miami Heat basketball, compete in every possession, and we're going to continue to do so.
It's so awesome to hear that from Gabe. It's just like, first of all, he's just like, oh, I actually thought he got too many calls. Like, it's just such a demeaning thing. Like, oh, poor Trae, I didn't know. You're basically telling your opponent, you already gotten me. You've gotten me. And maybe he just thinks it's desperation time and he needs a home crowd and a home cooking in Atlanta, even though I think it's going to be half Heat fans there anyway. He thinks he needs that because he's the bad guy. He needs the help to try and elongate this series because he basically said if they're going to be physical, we got no chance. You basically admitted it already. I cannot win this series without the help of the referees. And so when I heard that, yes, 2-0, take care of business, protect home court. That's what you should do. But to me, I was like, well, that's very white flaggy. That's like very, I can't do this without the help of the referees. I also love on the touch here, by the way, I love the fact that Gabe Vincent is wearing a 1997 National League Championship shirt. That is the shirt the Marlins got to wear after they beat the Atlanta Braves. So you have a Miami, at the time they were the Florida Marlins. The Florida Marlins beating the Atlanta Braves in the NLCS. Mwah. If I could just say to Gabe Vincent, mwah, that was a fine touch, my friend. Just top-notch. Top-notch trolling. Top-notch subtle nod. Everybody was falling in love with it. Everybody loves Gabe Vincent, what he's brought to the table, that there's dog mentality. As I tweeted back in December, and I stand by this. I retweet it every time he has a big game. Gabe Vincent's a bad mother bleeper, dude. Except, I didn't write out mother bleeper. I just wrote it out. But I'm trying to keep it clean here, all right? I'm fair, but I'm firm. Like Joe Cortez. I love everything he's bringing to the table. Max Strus too, and they needed him. The Heat were. This is the funny thing about it though, is like Trae Young has that take, right? And you're talking about a game where Bam Adebayo, fresh off of all the depoy controversy, and Bam had a bad game. We'll get into him in just a second. Was in foul trouble the entire night, so he really didn't get going. And PJ Tucker was in foul trouble, and so you had two of your biggest defenders who you throw at Trae Young weren't able to go. And you already know that you have Jimmy Butler. He's carrying you offensively, so that's a tough burden for him. I just thought it was funny. Like, this is the game Bam and PJ Tucker were in foul trouble, and this is the game you decide to say the referees aren't giving you guys stuff. What are you talking about? I didn't hear, Bogdan Bogdanovic was, he seemed like he was doing fine because he was lighting it up from downtown. I was scared every time he rose up, old bogey. It was terrifying. The presence, though, of Jimmy Butler has been awesome. I asked Kyle Lowry after the game, just like, is there been any talks? Because Jimmy's such a fascinating player. Kyle's very close to him. And I was wondering if Kyle Lowry had any talks with him going into this about upping the scoring.
No, I think he's been offensively aggressive all year. I think so. He's had a couple games where when I wasn't playing, he was, more facilitating. But I think this time of the year, he has to go get buckets and be Jimmy buckets, to be honest with you. So there's no conversation needed to be had with a guy like him. He knows what he's doing. He understands how to play basketball. He understands his spots. Him making threes changes his game to another level also.
So he said no. Well, but funny enough, though, it turned out that he did. And the guy that he had conversations with was actually PJ Tucker, with a little side help from Chris Quinn.
Last night, I had a conversation with Tuck, and he was telling me to go out there and score, make sure that we win. Coach Quinn did the same thing today while I was up there getting shots in our practice gym, and I went out and did just that.
Anytime you score 40 in a playoff game, people are going to go back to the bubble and say that was bubble Jimmy. Did you find anything that was reminiscent to you of the way you played up there?
Nope. I'm a different player now than I was then, and I'm okay with that. I just always want to play basketball the right way and do whatever it takes to help this team, this organization win. That's why they brought me here, and I did that tonight. But more than that, we still got 2 more to get against this squad.
So make it Quinn, make it PJ Tucker, whoever it is that got Jimmy Butler in the mode that he was in. I love seeing it. I love bully ball Jimmy. I love three-point shooting Jimmy. I love long sleeve, shooting sleeve Jimmy Butler. Jimmy mother bleeping buckets, getting it done, dude. 45 points, a 45 piece. And he wasn't eating those, it wasn't a 45 piece of chicken wings. It was endangered species wings, hawk wings, son. You're going to get in a bird of prey. You're taking that limb and you're just munching down on it with whatever sauce you want to. That's what he was doing yesterday. Absolutely fantastic performance from Jimmy Butler. I love this comment after the game from Eric Spoelstra. This was from, he was asked by Cooper Moorhead of Heat.com. He's a very smart writer and does great work. He was asked about the idea of, do you see any similarities to Jimmy Butler and Dwayne Wade when it comes to playoff three-pointers? Because that was an interesting thing with Dwayne. And I always love this line from Dwayne Wade that he had. But first, here's Eric Spoelstra.
You had a player before in Dwayne who could not shoot threes or not shoot threes very well during the regular season and get to the playoffs, and there he makes a couple big ones. Jimmy obviously didn't shoot that well from 3 this season.
Yeah, I know.
Is there a way to explain?
It actually is a good comparison because if you get in those pressure moments and the moments of truth, if you're on the other side, would you ever want to just give Dwayne Wade an open 3? You would not, because he's a killer. He's gonna seize that moment, and Jimmy has a lot of those same qualities. You can say whatever the percentage, throw those all out. When it becomes about winning, they'll find a way to kill you. You can look at a scouting report, look at numbers, but that's when they kill you the most. And the next game, it might be the free throw line. It might be the attacks. It might be playmaking. That's part of his genius.
He's a killer. I get the goosies listening to that, dude. I do. Goosies galore, just hearing that from Spo. But he's right. And Dwayne always had this line, and he always would say, I'm not a shooter, but I'm a shot maker. And I was just like, oh, that's a good line, D-Wade. That is a good line right there. You should trademark that. And that's what it feels like with Jimmy. He was just, you could just tell, feeling it. He's much more comfortable shooting that three-point shot. And really awesome performance from him all the way around. Defensively, too. I love when he does the pick sixes. I love when he gets in there. I just thought he was good all around. Even with Bam really struggling yesterday. He had a couple of bad turnovers in the fourth quarter that led to buckets for the Hawks. And they come out of a timeout, and Jimmy's driving to the hoop and is on a freight train, and he just gives the easy dump off to Bam, almost to lift his confidence a little bit. Hey, buddy, we need you here for the last 4 minutes. No, it's been an emotional few days, and Bam, I don't know if it was the depoy thing. I don't know if it was just a bad performance, but yeah, he was in foul trouble, couldn't get into any kind of offensive rhythm, was turning the ball over, and wasn't his best night for sure. Hasn't had a night like that I can remember in a while. And even Tyler really hasn't gotten scorching hot yet. So you're still looking for your 2 young studs in Bam and Tyler to have, I would say, bigger offensive productive games. I think Bam was fantastic defensively. They were as a team in game one. But I still think there are other elements for the Heat here that haven't quite clicked that could be a lot better. You know, you get the blowout where everybody kind of contributes, the crazy game from Duncan Robinson. How about Duncan Robinson going from 8 3-pointers to 7 minutes played the next game? That's got to be that's very interesting. But you got Caleb Martin out there. Caleb Martin, Max Strus, Gabe Vincent, all the guys that were getting praised by Kuzma the game before. I mean, just every one of them was bringing something super special, big energy, especially with no Bam. Caleb was much needed in that game, and now they turn their attention to Game 3 on Friday. Get a couple of days off, which I think is also going to be huge for Jimmy Butler, huge for PJ Tucker. And Atlanta's not the most hostile place to play, dude. Like every time the Heat go there, it's a let's go Heat fest. It really is. So I know that they were pretty fired up for Trae last year against the Knicks, and I will say this with the Heat fan, like I don't like the Heat fan chanting bleep Trae Young. I don't like it. I think for me, people always give Miami crap about it as a sports town. I feel like the Heat atmospheres are fun, but I feel like they're a party, you know? We do clever chants, dude. The Giannis counter, the LeBron is tired when he decided he wouldn't sit out like the third straight game against Miami. Trae is balding is cute and funny. I like funny cute. Telling the guy F you, one, I feel like it just angers the guy, or will put him into a zone. I don't think it's productive. And I think it's a very Northeast thing. And I know there are a lot of transplants down here, but it's very New York, Boston, Philly, just angry and bitter and miserable, and they go to their sports to be miserable. For me, I'm there for a couple of things. Have fun, wear white when I'm there as a fan, not a journalist, boots on the ground. Wink. And I'm there to hear the white stripes, and I'm here to listen to Pepas, all right, and see the Heat to kick ass and take names. The only time I'll ever just take a direct insult and I'm fine with the chant is when they say Paul Pierce sucks. That's, to me, speaks for itself. You're always allowed to say that. I'm even fine if you say somebody else sucks, but saying somebody sucks compared to F that dude or F next play, it's just very visceral. Like, let's just have a party. They're everybody's there to have fun. All right. We don't need to take it to that level. All right. I mean, do what you want to do. I don't know. I'm not going to write write the FCC about it. I'm not like, I'm not like, blushing at it, but I'm just like, whatever. We need to go to that New York Knicks bum level because that's the best thing that they can come up with. I like the cleverness. That's what I find fun. So Game 3 is coming up. Looking forward to it. 14 to go for your Miami Heat. Looking forward to it very, very much. Jimmy Butler, thank you for such a great performance. And, man, we'll see if this continues on for him because he has been awesome.